Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the technical session 2, 11th International Conference of University Librarians Association of Sri Lanka. First of all, I would like to introduce the session chairpersons, Dr. Kalpana Chandrasekhar, Acting Librarian, University of Jaffna, Dr. W.M.T.D. Ranasinghe, Senior Assistant Librarian, University of Kelaniya. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Kalpana and Dr. Ranasinghe to proceed the technical sessions. Over to you.
Good afternoon to you all. I welcome all the participants of this technical session on open access and scholarly publishing. And I congratulate all the presenters and contributors of this session.
Hello everyone, I am Dilruksha Kumari. I am a student in the unit of Library Science.
Good morning to, good afternoon to all.
At the Open University
Can you hear
of
me?
Sri Lanka. Nowadays, I am working as a librarian in Nagoda Pradeshiya Sabha Nitahas Swarna Jayanti Public Library. My research topic is...
Good afternoon to all. I welcome all the participants of this technical session on open access and scholarly publishing. This is the second session of this International Conference on University Library Associations session. This session, first of all, I would like to congratulate all the participants and presenters, those who are presenting papers on this session. This session, there are 7 papers to present at this session. And now I call upon Taranga to introduce the first paper. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second technical session of ICULA 2021. And it's good to see many of you here, and it's a great privilege for me to serve as the co-chair of this technical session, along with Dr. Mrs. Kalpana Chandrasekhar, the acting librarian at the University of Jaffna. So this session is about the topic research visibility and other LIS research areas. So we have a great variety of talks ahead of us, as Dr. Kalpana clearly mentioned. So let me first introduce and invite the first speaker of today's technical session 2. So ladies and gentlemen, public libraries have always been at the heart of the community they serve, and the reference service is considered as the heart of the library service. So the first presentation of this session is about the availability and the usage of reference sources in Nagoda Swarna Jayanti library. And our presenters today are Ms. BDL Dilrukshi Kumari, a student of BA Honours Degree Program of the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, the Open University of Sri Lanka, and her co-author is Ms. PKM Kaushamalika, Senior Assistant Librarian, the Open University of Sri Lanka. So now I invite Ms. BDL Dilrukshi Kumari to deliver the presentation, and Ms. Kumari, the forum is yours now.
Hello everyone, I am Dilrukshi Kumari. I am a student in the Unit of Library Science, Faculty of Social Sciences at the Open University of Sri Lanka. Nowadays, I am working as a librarian in Nagoda Pradeshya Sabha Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Public Library. My research topic is a study on the availability and usage of reference sources in Nagoda Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Library. Outline of my presentation. Introduction. Primary purpose of the public library is to provide resources and services to meet the specific needs of individuals. Public library play a vital role in the development of the society. Reference services have traditionally played a crucial role in the delivery of library services, especially in the academic spheres. Research problem. Nagoda Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Library are pursued using the funds allocated annually by the Pradeshya Sabha. Although it costs a lot of money to get reference resources, it is doubtful whether users are using these resources effectively. Need to explore the awareness of users about library reference resources and usefulness in meeting the referral needs of users. The Nagoda Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Library has not recently conducted a study to explore the availability and use of reference sources, and the current study is carried out to examine the above. Objectives of the study. Main objective is to evaluate the availability and usage of reference sources among the users in the reference section in Nagoda Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Public Library. Specific objectives are to find out the availability and advocacy of reference sources in the library, to determine the extent of using reference sources, to ascertain the purpose of using reference sources in the library, to identify challenges that users encounter while using reference sources. Research methodology as follows. I have chosen the method survey strategy. Study was conducted as a descriptive survey. Data was collected by using a self-administered questionnaire. Convenient sampling method. Total population sampling was carried out, which yielded a response rate of 80%. Descriptive statistics were used to interpret the result. Major result of the study. According to the responses received from 120, all of the respondents were using reference sources in Nagoda Nidahas Swarna Jayanti Public Library, and majority of them are female users 71% and male 29%. Mainstream of respondents are Sinhalese 78%, and there were few respondents from Tamil 15%, Muslims 6%, and other races 2%. Employment of respondents were self-employed 20%, government employees 26%, private employees 24%, and the non-employed 30%. Most available sources are dictionaries and annual reports and constitutions. These are indicated by 30% and 20%. 81% those who inquired about advocacy of the reference sources said that the reference sources were insufficient. 79 dictionaries are more commonly used, and The most commonly used reference sources were encyclopedias 16% and dictionaries 13%. Use of reference sources more to prepare lecture notes with 35%, for examination purposes with 26%, and to write assignments 23%. Readers are facing several challenges when using reference sections of the library. Mainly the lack of skills to use resources and services 47%, and lack of knowledge about existing resources and services 18%. Conclusions and recommendations. Widely used reference sources are dictionaries, glossaries, and encyclopedias. Most of the people come to the reference section to collect additional materials required to complete the lecture note, examinations, and assignment. Challenges faced by library reference users were mainly identified as poor search skills, lack of infrastructure, inadequate reference resources, and inadequate organization of materials. Recommendations. Librarians should try to obtain new reference sources covering all the courses of the Nagoda Pradesh Sabha. Other one is should help to develop users' information search skills. Sources should be organized using an easy to find methodology. Some of the references are here. Thank you. So it's time for me to answer questions if you have.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Dilrukshi, for initiating the technical session 2 with your presentation on the availability and usage of reference sources. So there were some interesting findings, like most widely used reference source in the Nagoda Swarna Jayanti Public Library were dictionaries, isn't it? So with that, let me thank the first presenter, and before I move to Dr. Kalpana for the to introduce the second presenter, let me give some kind of kind notice to all the participants here. So if you have any questions, please write them down, and you can ask those questions during the Q&A session. So after all the 7 presentations in this technical session, we will have the Q&A session. And still, if you want, you can even type your question in the chat, and we will make sure that we will read that question in the Q&A session. So with that simple message, now let me hand over to Dr. Kalpana Chandrasekhar to introduce the second presenter of this technical session. Thank you.
Thank you, Taranga. The second presenter for this session is IBKL Fernando. He is a senior assistant librarian attached to the main library of the Sabraguma University of Sri Lanka. And this is a joint author there, UAL panel. He is attached to the senior assistant librarian attached to the University of Ruhuna. The title of the paper is Capacity Building Program for Teacher Librarians in Akurasa Zonal Education Area, Sri Lanka, Experience. Okay, now we'll move on to the presentation. Thank you.
Good day to you all. I'm Kusala Fernando, Senior Assistant Librarian, Sabragama University of Sri Lanka. This is a joint research with UAL Panila about capacity building programs for teacher librarians in Akurasa Zonal Education Area, Sri Lanka. This is an experience recap type of research. So, so the school libraries are defined by the ICULA as physical and digital learning spaces where the reading, inquiry, research, thinking, imagination, and creativity are central to students' information to knowledge journey and their personal, social, and cultural growth. So according to this definition, school libraries need to serve a vast capacity of providing the information and many other aspects of school in a school. At the same time, the Australian Library Association defines a teacher librarian as a person who holds recognized teaching qualifications with qualifications and also qualifications in librarianship, which means that they have given high priority for the teacher librarians, and they have identified that the teacher librarians should have multifaceted characteristics such as a curriculum leader, information specialist, and information service manager. In some other study, there are also 11 criteria have been identified that should be in a teacher librarian, because the teacher librarians are sort of teachers also are making the foundation of future leaders. They are making the learning foundation for future leaders. So the role of teacher librarian is accompanied with responsibilities in someone's lifelong learning process, especially the students and staff. But in Sri Lanka, the studies highlighted that a person who's in charge of a school library is irrespective of whatever he or she is doing, can be a school librarian. It doesn't need to be a qualified teacher librarian or a teacher or a clerk or a volunteer. It could be anybody who could be a teacher librarian. But in some other studies as well, they have highlighted some limiting factors and some critical situations, highlighting the scarcity of resources, lack of training needs, lack of fulfilling training needs, poor attention towards school librarians, towards the nation. So the capacity building program is one of major information dissemination technique that can be used by librarians. For example, the University of Ruhuna is the prime educational institution for the southern region. So as a regular practice, the university is conducting capacity building programs for teacher librarians. So the objective is associated with that aspect, to share the lesson learned, the feedback of the participants of a capacity building program, which was conducted for teacher librarians in Akurasa zone. So for this study, all types of schools were included. There are 4 types of schools in Sri Lanka, according to the Ministry of Education. That is 1AB, 1C, Type 2, and Type 3. All of these four types are available in the Akurasa education and so on. And there were 85 schools, and we invited all the members from all the teacher librarians in these 85 schools to take part in our capacity building program. So these respondents are almost teachers in the school librarians, and the sample is more homogeneous due to that factor. So a purposive sampling was conducted to collect response from the respondents. There were 51 teacher librarians who participate in the capacity building program, representing 34 schools. In these 34 schools included 17 Kanishta Vidyalaya, 14 Mahavidyalaya, 2 Madhya Mahavidyalaya, and 1 national school. So the team program was arranged into 2 sessions. First session was about cataloging, classification, and library management session, and the second part was about modern teacher library practices, and a slight introduction to how to implement new online services in school libraries. So at the end of each session, we provided a paper and pencil based questionnaire and a Q&A session and a discussion session. So the discussion session and the Q&A session was it was associated, it was a single session. However, during the Q&A session and the discussion session, we delivered them paper and pencil based questionnaire that investigating the things that they learn from the capacity building program and the things that they are going to be implemented in their schools while they back to work. So the results reveal that these are the concepts that these teacher librarians learn during the day are at the end of all 2 sessions. Most of them learn concept, foundation, and techniques of library classification. So most of them does not know about library classification, and some of these libraries are not classified under any type of classification system. So, and they also learn to adapt new technologies in the library, school libraries. And likewise, the future challenges, library monitoring, reading camps, relationships with students, they show a little number. That means these concepts are new to these people. This table number 2 depicting that the things to be implemented when they back at their schools. So most of them are interested to promote reading among students, because during the capacity building program, we mentioned several promoting techniques to them. So they are thinking about implementing those techniques while they back at the school. Likewise, identify the objectives. They have identified the objectives of the librarians, and they try to implement, they try to achieve these objectives back at their schools. Adopting technology to the library, yes, that one also highlighted by 21 of the participants, which means that they have the capacity to conduct these practices back at their schools. If you can see here, adopting social media to the library is responded as 1, because depending on their resources available and the capacity, this is how they can react back at their school levels. So finally, it can be recommended that it is the capacity conducting capacity building programs for teacher librarians is a pivotal task that the university libraries must be in the background while conducting these capacity building programs. At the same time, it can be recommended to monitor whether these school librarians are keeping the track with the things that they are going to be implemented in future. So it can be conducted in a cyclic manner. So the outcome of the previous studies, previous capacity building programs can be incorporated and can be take as an input for the future capacity building programs. And so the outcome of one's capacity building program, the experience that they gain must be shared with the other librarians in the field. So the school librarians and the university librarians can both learn from these experiences. And the policymakers and school administrations should have practice to associate their progress and to evaluate their school libraries and provide the school libraries with necessary infrastructures and facilities at the policy level. So these are the few references. And thank you for you all, and have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Fernando, for your interesting paper on capacity building program for teacher librarians in Akuras zonal educational area in Sri Lanka, southern Sri Lanka. And before we move to the third presenter, I have shared the link for online e-conference proceedings through the chat. So I invite those who are interested, they can read the full papers by accessing that link. So with that short notice, let me introduce and invite the third presenter of this technical session. So I'm sure all the academic librarians in this forum would be always concerned on their user satisfaction, and you have continuous interest on how to measure the satisfaction of your service quality in your academic library services. So today here we have the expert research team from Southeastern University of Sri Lanka to tell us how they did it in their library. So I would like to invite Mr. B.E.S. Bandara, Assistant Librarian, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka, and his research team, the co-authors of his paper, Dr. Mrs. M.M. Mashrufa, Mr. M.M. Rifaudin, Mr. M.C.M. Aswar, Mr. M. Nafis, and Mr. S.L.M. Sajir, all are from the library, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. Mr. Bandara, this is over to you.
Good day to you. I am B.E.S. Bandara, and our research topic is undergraduate satisfaction on service quality of library services of Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. This is the outline of this research study, and moving on to the introduction. Fundamental goals of any library or information center is to meet the information demands of its users. Southeastern University libraries are always striving to provide quality service to their patrons. Measuring library service quality is important for continuous improvement of quality services. Traditional library evaluations are now outdated, and it is now more towards the service quality aspects. Variety of tools has been developed to assist libraries to determine the service quality. Comparative data enables libraries to identify areas for improvement, best practices, and resource allocation. What is LibQual tool? LibQual is a web-based survey offered by the Association of Research Libraries that helps libraries assess and improve library services, change organizational culture, and market the library. Library administrators have successfully used LibQual survey data to identify best practices, analyze deficits, and effectively allocate resources. LibQual gives your library users a chance to tell you where your services need improvements so you can respond to and better manage their expectations. The survey instrument measures library users' minimum, perceived and desired levels of service quality across library as a place, access to information, information control and effect of service dimensions. Here is the research problem. Southeastern University has 6 faculties and the library is catering to the information needs of students of all the faculties, and therefore it is crucial to understand the quality of the services and the satisfactory level of users, especially of the undergraduates. Southeastern University libraries have a little recorded information on this aspect. Therefore, it is timely needed to identify the user satisfactory level so that the library can provide a better quality service in future. These are the research questions identified. What is the undergraduate satisfaction on the library facilities of the Southeastern University libraries? What are the factors that contributes to the user satisfaction of the Southeastern University libraries? With these questions, the objectives of the study is to examine the undergraduate's user satisfaction through the customized LibQual tool at the libraries of Southeastern University. The research design and methods. We have used quantitative research approach for this study. Population size is undergraduate students of 1,100 of the Faculty of Technology and Faculty of Applied Sciences of Southeastern University. Krejci-Morgan table referred to identify the minimum sample size of 285. We have used stratified random sampling technique to draw the sample. Pre-tested self-administrated questionnaire was employed via online platform. We have followed customized LibQual tool to evaluate user satisfaction according to the needs of the parent entity. Moving on to the results and discussion. Majority of the sample belongs to the second year students with a score of 43%. Scoring 68%, females were the highest number of participation in this study. Frequency of visiting the library of the users were once a week, scoring a percentage of 30, and it was followed by frequency of 2 to 3 times per week. Orientation program plays a major role in providing quality service. Majority of the sample received library orientation program, whereas only 9% has not received. So it is better if we can ask what is the convenient time slot to conduct the orientation program. Response were received to that question as in the last figure. They have responded as they wanted to have the orientation program in the beginning of academic session. Almost similar percentage of the respondents wants to have it with the common orientation program. In this study, we have used 5-point Likert scale, which is from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Alston and Miller in 2002 used 5-point Likert scale to evaluate the level of satisfaction, and they have benchmarked the level of satisfaction as mentioned in this table. We have used the same benchmark to evaluate the service quality of SUSL libraries. In LibQual research studies, researchers collect library users' minimum, perceived and desired levels of service quality across few dimensions. This study is a preliminary study which was not collected such data, whereas only used the Likert scale questions to assess the level of quality of the service provided. As mentioned earlier, evaluation has done for 5 dimensions and levels of satisfaction and mean value for each parameter has tabulated in these tables. We have considered 3 parameters to library as a place dimension, 4 parameters to access to information dimension, 7 parameters for information control dimension, 12 parameters for effect of service dimension, and 8 parameters for other factors dimension. This table gives the summary of the average mean values obtained for each dimension. In the library as a place dimension, among the 3 parameters, only physical facilities of the library parameter scored the satisfactory benchmark. In the access to information dimension, respondents were satisfied only with the arrangement of printed materials, where information control dimension scored 2 parameters, namely good collection of printed documents and stable internet connection, as satisfactory. Effect of service dimension is the largest dimension with 12 parameters, and among them only 5 parameters, namely having useful signage, willingness to help users, confidence of library staff knowledge to answer the user queries, cooperative library staff, and attention to information needs and problems of the users were in the satisfactory level. However, the average mean value of this particular dimension also did not reach the benchmark of 3.5, but having a value of 3.449, it emphasizes that it is reaching towards the benchmark. Other factors dimension considered 8 parameters, and out of that, only overall satisfaction on services parameter was scored satisfactory level. Conclusion. Southeastern University Library has to improve many measures to uplift the user expectations and to provide a better service to its stakeholders. Effect of service dimension ranked as the most satisfied dimension. More attention is needed to give for information controlling aspects. It is recommended to enhance the leisure reading facilities and 24 hours open section, conduct user education programs on the lacking areas such as article delivery services, literature support services, non-printed materials, e-journals, and full-text databases. Interlibrary loan facilities, orientation programs, and plagiarism support services also need to be strategized in an innovative manner. These are the references which we have used in this study, and thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Bandar, for your interesting presentation, and also congratulations for your library team, because according to your findings, you maintain an overall satisfaction of undergraduate users. Your satisfaction rate has reached the benchmark. So congratulations for your study. And then let me invite the session chair, Dr. Mrs. Kalpana Chandrasekhar, to introduce the fourth presenter. Thank you.
Thank you. Taranga.
So it seems like there is some technical issue from our.
Okay. Thank you,
okay.
Tarang.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Taranga. Now we'll move on to the fourth paper. After seeing the service quality of the library, university libraries, we are moving on to visibility on university repositories in Sri Lanka. The title of the paper is Adding Altmetric Daphne Proposal to Increase Author Visibility on University Repositories in Sri Lanka. I invite paper presenters, Mr. N. Ravi Kumar, Senior Assistant Librarian attached to the Eastern University of Sri Lanka, and Mr. T. Ramanan, Senior Assistant Librarian attached to the University of Colombo. I kindly welcome the presenters to present their paper. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to present our joint paper titled Adding Altmetrics Donut, a proposal to increase author visibility in university repositories in Sri Lanka. This has been authored by Mr. M. Ravikumar and Mr. T. Raman. The presentation outline is shown on screen, starting with introduction, what's altmetrics, research visibility, repositories of Sri Lankan universities, integrating altmetrics, badges in institutional repositories, technological possibilities and implementation, finally, conclusion. Let me introduce the presentation to you. Researchers and their foster institutions invest enormous amount of resources in the form of finance and time to investigate into social and scientific problems and publish them in scholarly platforms. However, technology has blurred digital divide and strata of audience. Increasing presence of general public on non-scholarly media, especially social networking sites, promotes the open access movement of scientific knowledge. In this regard, conventional measures are limited in their scope in today's apps and platforms. Without measuring as to how a research exerted impact on society in general, the research is meaningless. Therefore, alternative metrics, popularly known as altmetrics, come into play. This gives new looks to citation analytics. Altmetrics gives rise to more heterogeneous spectrum of measures by harvesting data from a range of sources. This metrics is useful both at article and individual levels that proves its potential to measure the research impact beyond scientific community. In this vein, we authors come up with this proposal to facilitate incorporating altmetric gadgets into Sri Lankan institutional repositories. Now take a look at the platforms from where altmetric tools read their data. It ranges from news to popular social networking sites like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and to self-archiving sites. Now let me give the podium to my co-presenter, Mr. M. Ravikumar.
Thank you, Mr. Ramanan. We have done a web survey and we found that almost all the university libraries, that is 15 university libraries, have hosted their digital repositories on the web. Some of the universities have more than one repository. So altogether we have 17 repositories and we found that these repositories are using DSpace as a software for developing their digital repositories, and almost all repositories are using XMLUI framework of DSpace except one repository. All other repositories are using the same framework. Therefore, we identified there is a possibility for integrating institutional repository badges in the repositories. As you know, these altmetrics provide excellent analytics of citation on both scholarly and non-scholarly platforms like Twitter and YouTube, and even though in the Facebook. So that will help to show and evaluate the research impact on the society. So let me speak about the technical possibility of the integrating altmetric badges in the DSpace digital repository system. The DSpace is developed using a high-level programming languages like Java. So it supports enabling the altmetric discovery on institutional repositories. Technically speaking, altmetric CFG file, which is located in the subdirectory called modules, which is in the directory config in the DSpace software. So it could be configured with the true value, which will enable the tracking of different parameters and fields of a particular researcher and the author. So such as DOI number could be used to track the article, and it will show them sharing and citing of that article all over the network. And also this institutional repository badge will show the altmetric score as well. So this is the altmetrics.cfg file, so where you can see the altmetric enabled with a true value. So this will enable the tracking of article in all over the network, and also doing some more technical setup and customization. We can include altmetric badges or donut in the DSpace repository system. So this is a sample site showing that different altmetric donuts or IR badges integrated in a DSpace repository system. Altmetric.com offering different styles or different shape of this donut. So as per our requirement, we can integrate this IR badge in the DSpace repository system. So if we enable the altmetric badges in the digital repository system, so it will show the altmetric donut for each and every article. So once we click the altmetric donut, then it will take to the detail page where we can see all the details of that particular article. So how far this article is shared all over the social media, say blog, Twitter, Facebook and Wikipedia. And also you can get mentally readers detail also you can get here, and all the summaries will be displayed here. So I think this is very much useful for the researcher to view how far his or her article is shared in the non-scholarly as well as scholarly platform. So as you know, the research has to be ensured to reach all of the society, and altmetric analytics proven to be effective over the measures of other citation. Sri Lankan university repositories are mainly using DSpace to build their digital repositories. So there is a possibility for integrating altmetric badge because this altmetric badge is compatible with the DSpace. So integrating altmetric analytics in institutional repositories will strengthen the research and expand their visibility. In conclusion, advanced level linked open data could be managed by altmetric tools in digital repositories. These are some references for our work, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ravi Kumar and Mr. Ramanan, for your interesting presentation. So then let me introduce the next presenter of this technical session.
Continue now.
Yes, so before that, let me once again give a short notice to those who were joining with us in the middle of the technical session. We will have the Q&A session at the end of the paper presentations. So please write down your questions to be asked during the Q&A session. So our next presentation is from the Pakistan. And as we all know, the academic scholarly networking sites such as ResearchGate are becoming very popular among academics nowadays. And these sites allow uploading academic articles, art abstracts, and also enable us to engage in professional interaction. So in this paper, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Ali, the Associate Librarian, Faculty of Health Sciences Library, Aga Khan University in Pakistan, will discuss about the Pakistani LIS faculty's research performance on ResearchGate. Mr. Ali, forum is yours now.
I, Muhammad Yusuf Ali, PhD scholar and associate librarian. Greetings and welcome from Karachi, Pakistan. I welcome you all in this online conference. I'm very thankful to the University Library Association Sri Lanka and Program Committee of International Conference of University Library Association of Sri Lanka, ICULA. Give me an opportunity to share my research. Let's move to the PowerPoint slides. Research topic: Pakistani LIS faculty research performance on ResearchGate. Scheme of presentation, I will talk about the introduction of the topic, related literature review and research methodology, findings and results, and conclusion. Introduction. As per the conference theme, scholarly publishing and open access for the enhancement of research visibility. Academic scholarly networking sites are similar to the social networking sites, but designed for academic community. These online platforms allow researcher, scholar to develop a profile and connect with other researcher while also allowing you to share academic related content. Popular academic scholarly networking site, ResearchGate, Mendeley, academia.edu, Google Scholar, Zotero, and bpress are the popular social academic scholarly networking site. Some important facts about the ResearchGate platforms. ResearchGate was launched in 2008. Ajit Mesadich is the founder of ResearchGate. 20 million researchers from the different knowledge domain are connected with the ResearchGate from 190 countries. ResearchGate profile features, research publications, citation count, ResearchGate score, read views, research impact, H index, following and followers are the main features of ResearchGate. Point number 2, literature review. 1,540 plus article available on the Google Scholar and covers various dimensions of research on ResearchGate. Few relevant studies are discussed in this section. Popularity of ResearchGate among the scholars of various fields discussed by the Nuruddin, Orgeta, and Al-Sayyed. ResearchGate performance compared through article age, discipline, and audience size and impact. A study result shows that medicine, pure sciences field articles have good number of read and citation count, Thirol and Khosa. In Pakistan, 52.94% of faculty members use ResearchGate as a scholarly networking site for academic profile maintenance, Ali and Richardson 2018. LIS scholars profile metric was presented by the Ali and Richardson, but this study was mixed profile approach of LIS practitioners and faculty members. Research question. Following research question designed for this study, which LIS school faculty members actively participate in ResearchGate. How many papers of top LIS faculty members are available on full text in ResearchGate? Is there any significant correlation between publications and citation? Research methodology. Currently, there are 12 Higher Education Commission HSC recognized library schools are offer undergraduate DS level education program. 40 plus members are working and 27 faculty members profile found on ResearchGate. LIS faculty members profile selected among this profile. Profile selection criteria on this basis of publication of the faculty member. The table number 1. There are 948 research items available on ResearchGate and 7,100 citations found, along with the 472,025 reads. As per the research question, number 1, ResearchGate we found the answer. ResearchGate equally popular among the male and female faculty staff members and top 5 top profile access from both the gender group. University of Punjab, the Islam University Bhavalpur, and University of Sargo, the faculty members have fall in top 10 on the basis of their publication. Average citation is per paper is 7.57. As per the research question number 2, 46% of articles available with the option of full text and 54% articles are available without full text, having abstract and metadata information. However, reader can get full text request via research get message option. Results are tabulated in table number 2. Research question number 3. There is a normal significant level of correlation between the publication and citation of the faculty publication with R value 0.665. Conclusion. LIS faculty members' profile reflects they are perform very well with a good number of reads, which is the popularity of publication citation count. RG score and research interest found moderate level of popularity among the other profile of ResearchGate. LIS faculty members profile works as institutional repository for the young scholars. They download their publication as well as request full text in case of not publicly available of the full text papers. This study is limited to the faculty members. However, further study can be conducted top LIS faculty included with the LIS practitioners. These are the references or literature which is used in this study. Thank you so much for your passion. Thanks for watching till the end. You can connect with me if you have any question about this study, media platform as well as Gmail, my Twitter handler, YouTube and ResearchGate. At last, I welcome any Sri Lankan librarian wants to collaborate research on academic scholarly networking side. I am pleased to work with you guys. That's end from my side.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Ali from the Aga Khan University, Pakistan, for contributing ICULA 2021 by making this event a truly international conference. Then let me hand over to Dr. Mrs. Kalpana Chandrasekhar to introduce the sixth presentation in this technical session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daranda. The sixth presentation is related to research collaboration in library and information science. This paper is presented by Dr. Amara Malik, Assistant Professor at the Institute of Information Management, University of the Punjab, Lahore, Pakistan. I kindly welcome Dr. Malik to present the paper titled Research Collaboration in Library and Information Science, Barriers, Challenges, and Prospects. Over to you, Dr. Malik.
Hello everyone, a very warm greetings from Pakistan. I am Dr. Amara Malik. Today I am going to present my study on research collaboration in library and information science, its barriers, challenges and prospects from Pakistan perspective. Before going to tell you about my table of contents, I would like to share that how I have defined research for the purpose of my study. So for the purpose of my study, I have defined research as a range of scholarly activities, including research programs such as PhD and research publications, for example, research articles, commentaries, opinion papers, books chapters, and etc. Here is my table of contents. These are the topics on which I am going to talk about. And so let's start with the introduction. As we all know, that research plays a very important role in the development of any profession by creating new theoretical knowledge, by informing practice and improving decision-making at workplace. LIS research literature is replete with the benefits of research collaboration. It can take various forms. It can be on various levels, such as national, international, and regional level among LIS schools, LIS faculty members, and practitioners. It also can take different forms, for example, joint research projects, co-authorship in articles, faculty-student exchange programs, and research supervision. So, collaboration in research is a global trend that is gaining popularity nowadays. But if we talk about local perspective of Pakistan, so it is worth mentioning that Pakistan is cherishing a historical legacy as being first one in Asia and third in the world by offering formal seat of learning in library training at university level. Back in 1915, almost a century ago, Asa Don Dickinson, an American librarian, was appointed by University of the Punjab's authorities to train librarians at that time. He also authored a textbook. Its name is Punjab Library, also considered as one of the first ever textbook in library education. Following his legacy, LIS professionals continued to contribute to LIS literature in Pakistan, subsequently, though slowly. However, research remained a very low priority among LIS professionals due to lack of research programs and lack of research culture in the country. In 2005, however, the time changes with the emergence and with the establishment of a PhD program at various LIS schools. And after that, country has witnessed an upward trend, an increasing trend of research publications. However, previous studies reported that there is lack of research collaboration among LIS professionals, LIS schools, and practitioners. But no further study has investigated the factors or the reasons working behind the less collaborative research culture in Pakistan. So the present study is designed to fill this gap by exploring and identifying the barriers that hamper research collaboration among LIS faculty members in Pakistan. It will also explore the strategies and future prospects to improve LIS research collaboration among LIS faculty members. For the purpose of this study, the research design that was employed was qualitative approach. Semi-structured interviews were conducted with 17 faculty members from 8 LIS schools. Face-to-face and telephonic interviews were conducted with the faculty members from the pool of professors, associate professors, and assistant professors. All the interviews were recorded and transcribed by listening the audio again and again. Thematic analysis approach was used to analyze the obtained data, and the data is presented in themes. So, talking about results and discussion, here is the table describing the profile of respondents, and we can see here that 11 male and 6 female faculty members were interviewed. A female ratio is less as compared to males in the faculty positions. 5 professors and 6 associate and assistant professors from two from each category was interviewed. If we see the age range and experience of the participants, we can see and observe diversity here as well. So what are the findings of data? All the research participants were agreed that research collaboration is the most overlooked aspect in local perspective. There is less culture of research collaboration in any category. Most of the collaboration that is being happen is largely informal. However, they noted that in authorship, in research articles, co-authorship and joint authorship, the trend of joint authorship and co-authorship is emerging, and that is quite, positive indicator. While talking about barriers and challenges of building successful collaboration, the participants came up with a long list of barriers that was divided into 2 main categories. One, material resources, other, collective behavioral factors. Material resources included lack of infrastructure, shortage of faculty, and lack of funding, while collective behavioral factors, challenges related to collective behavioral factors included lack of commitment, lack of willingness to share knowledge, expertise, and resources, lack of trust, lack of familiarity, and lack of visionary leadership. It is well mentioning here that behavioral challenges were considered more critical as compared to the material resources. While talking about the future prospects and strategies, the participants were very optimistic regarding the prospects of LIS collaboration in research, and they have suggested different strategies to build and strengthen the collaboration among LIS faculty members, such as formation of formal and informal groups and networks and research teams in physical as well as in virtual environment. They believe that social media can facilitate discussion and sharing of ongoing research projects, and it can facilitate research collaboration among LIS professionals. For LIS schools, they suggested that LIS schools should initiate such programs such as joint academic research programs and research projects. There should be faculty and student exchange programs in LIS schools. Other than that, collaborative professional activities, for example, conferences, workshops, seminars, and symposium were also suggested as a very good tool to promote collaboration among LIS researchers. So it is concluded that collaboration is a flourishing trend, as a flourishing global trend, and it is also gaining popularity in local perspective of Pakistan. However, it is emerging on a very slow pace. However, LIS faculty members are highly cognizant of the benefits of research collaboration, and this is a very positive indicator, and that can be taken as a promising future of LIS collaboration in Pakistan. So that's all from my side. For answering questions, I will be there for live. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ms. Amara Malik, for your contribution from the Institute of Information Management, University of the Punjab in Lahore, Pakistan. Let me invite the final presentation of this technical session. I'm sure all of you in this audience have at least a single social media account such as Facebook or Twitter, and even this conference is largely promoted via social media and live telecasted via YouTube. Then how about your library? Does your library have a social media presence? Or why is it necessary for your library to have a social media platform? And how should you plan for that? And how important is it to have a social media policy for your library? So if you are concerned about these questions, then this presentation is for you. So let me invite Ms. DPC Vitan, Senior Assistant Librarian from LIS University, Ms. Pearl K. Vijayasekar, Senior Assistant Librarian from General Surgeon Kothalawala Defence University, and Ms. KMRK Kulatunga, Senior Assistant Librarian, LIS University of Sri Lanka, to present their paper titled Serving the Library User Community through Social Media, in special reference to Sri Lankan academic libraries. Over to you.
Greetings, everybody. My topic is serving the library user community through Facebook during COVID-19 pandemic, with special reference to Sri Lankan academic libraries. I'm DPC Vitan, acting librarian of LIS University. The study was conducted with Dr. Kumari Kulatunga, Senior Assistant Librarian at LIS University, and Ms. Pearl Vijayasekara, Senior Assistant Librarian at Kothalawala Defence University. This is the introduction part, why we did this research. This is one part of three-layered research. So here we try to understand the methods, alternative methods libraries use to serve the user community while they are facing these COVID-19 restrictions and during this COVID-19 pandemic. So Facebook is used by a lot of libraries, but we recognize that Facebook uses increased with this pandemic situation, because traditional libraries have to save their community, their users, and yet they have to safeguard their safety as well as their interest as well. But there's slight problem associated with this, with the use of Facebook-like accounts, social media. That is, we don't have pre-established guidelines to use this media. So, but through literature, we learned that using Facebook is a good alternative pathway and a good promotional tool, and it is available 24/7 and it is free. It already reaches wider community and our users are already there, so we don't have to create a new platform for them to join. It is already there and most of the users are there, so we can reach them through Facebook. And specialized training is not needed to establish social media platforms such as Facebook, and we don't have to train our users to use this platform as well. So those are the plus points of Facebook, and the negative point is we don't have proper established guideline, as I said before. Our objective is to observe, explore the Facebook and explore the use of Facebook by university libraries in Sri Lanka by creating profiles and reaching out for their users. During this COVID-19 time, we have specific objectives. We observe the official websites, official Facebook sites of academic libraries, and user interactions and user interest towards these profiles, as well as types of information shared by these accounts and interactive resources used to share the information and content development and so on. So the methodology we used is we searched for all the academic libraries governed under the UGC Sri Lanka, and we searched these profiles with keywords. We just used several keywords and university library's name and search for these Facebook profiles. Keywords are used to search for official Facebook accounts of the libraries, and the accounts were examined. Some of the data are not available to us because they were hidden. Only the administrator can access those information, but other information are available to us. So we observe the information freely available to us to observe. Common characteristics of those library Facebook accounts were documented, and also the roles related to this Facebook profile is also documented. What are the roles? The administrator role and the other roles who are sharing the information and who's going to get benefit from this information. The roles were recognized, and shared content types were also recognized, and promoted services were observed and documented. User interactions and interprofile interactions among libraries were also recorded. We observed that 88% of the academic main libraries in Sri Lanka are using Facebook pages. So, and we observed also that 2/3 of university libraries are using are getting more than 1,000 followers for these accounts. Some of them, like two, three of them are having like lower followers, but they are newly established Facebook profiles. So the usage and target group is high, and the followers they are getting for the profile is also high. So we observe there are two categories of things, main two categories of things they do with these profiles. One is promoting their services and promoting information, disseminating information. Freely available information resources are shared, as well as content developed by their own are shared. And this content development is done with, like, they are using other platforms as well to develop this content, and like they are creating web pages, YouTube accounts, and they're sharing this information in this profile. Other than that, they're sharing webinar informations, conference informations, and so on. And they allow user to share the information shared by this profile. Other than that, the profile allows the user to communicate with the administrators, the librarians, through Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, and they also allowed to use YouTube and comment there. So those are the things, the facilities provided to related to information sharing, and they also use this to promote services. Contact details and links to university web pages, university library web pages also given in this page, and they created specific service related groups such as reader group or a book club, things like that. The groups were created within these pages using the facilities of Facebook. Other than that, online events of the library are also shared. The events of the library also shared through this using the Facebook service provided to share the events. There are lots of security measures also involved with these profiles. Users are not allowed to comment, and but if they are allowed to comment, then the comments are restricted. After regulating and after reviewing the comment, they are published. Other than that, profiles are managed by a group of people. We observed this in several places, that different people share information to the group. So they are managed by a group of people, and the profile page is regulated by a group of people. This is the end output we obtain. We observe that library create information content to share with this Facebook pages, and they share freely available content as well. And there we observe that users of library are interacting with these library pages, and outside users are also interacting with this library pages. So we are sharing accurate, timely information with outside community through these profiles. And the content was shared. We observed that the contents are shared among the library pages as well, among the libraries. So information centers are networked through this method, and information are shared easily through this method. Other than that, freely available content are shared with the user community through this Facebook pages. So we are going to use this roles and content creation platform for our future research, where we are planning to observe the librarians and other library user perspective, as well as content creation perspective. Suggestions and recommendations, and we have library, we should inculcate positive attitude to use Facebook towards scholarly work. That we can do only if we are available there, and we create right content for our users and share it through our Facebook profile pages. And we should formulate proper policies and guidelines for implementing and operating Facebook and other social media based services as well for Sri Lanka. And we have to encourage optimum use of Facebook for academic and social development to sharing accurate information. Other than that, we have to make aware our users and our librarians as well regarding the risk involved in sharing scholarly work in Facebook accounts. Incorrect information can be shared, false information can be shared. Further research, it is essential to do further research on this topic, because Facebook use by librarians and libraries in Sri Lanka is not observed in depth. So it is essential, and we have to look at the librarian's perspective as well as the user's perspective. And there's another perspective, that is the content we are sharing. We have to look at that, and for formulating guidelines and establishing a proper system, this will be needed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vitan and the research team for your interesting presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this presentation, now we have reached to the end of the technical session 2. So, before we move into the Q&A session, let me summarize this parallel session, technical session 2, on the topic of research visibility and other LIS areas. We had a great variety of talks with 7 presentations, which were contributed by 17 co-authors. The first paper was on the use of reference sources in a public library by Ms. Kumari and Ms. Aushumalika, and the second paper was on capacity building among teacher librarians, contributed by Mr. Fernando and Mr. Pannila, and the third presentation was on user satisfaction of the library, quality of library services by Mr. Bandara and his research team, and the fourth one was adding alt metrics to institutional repositories by Mr. Ravi Kumar and Mr. Ramanan, and then Mr. Ali contributed a paper on LIS faculty research performance in Pakistan on ResearchGate, then followed by Ms. Amara Malik, Dr. Amara Malik on research collaboration in LIS in Pakistan, and the final presentation was on use of social media in academic libraries. So with this summary, now let us open the forum for the question and answers. So better if you could kindly refer to the presenter or the paper before you asking the question, and I hope the question and answer session will lead to a productive discussion. Now it's over to the audience for question and answer session. I'm sure all our paper presenters and their co-authors are there. So who will be courageous enough to ask the first question? Otherwise, shall we invite each paper by paper? The first paper, the study on availability of and usage of reference sources in Nagoda Nidahas Sarma Jayanti Public Library by Ms. Dilruchi and Ms. Aushumalika. Are there any questions? So, if there are no questions, actually I have one question to both the presenters and the co-author. So, actually I would like to know that how the library users access these reference sources during the pandemic or the lockdown. So, was this study was done before the lockdown, or after, during or after the lockdown? So, how they do access these reference sources? Do we have our presenters for the first paper? So it was an interesting presentation on the use of reference sources in a public library in Sri Lanka. So otherwise we can move to the second paper, contributed by Mr. Fernando and Mr. Pannila, the capacity building program for teacher librarians in Akurasa zonal educational area in Sri Lanka. The experience recap. So, ladies and gentlemen, now the session is open for Q&A.
Dr. Taranga, I have one question.
Yes.
Regarding the second paper.
Yes.
It is. I would like to know whether the teacher librarians, how many workshops you have done for the capacity building program, and what is the teacher librarians stand, whether they are happy or satisfied with their teacher librarian work, or whether they would like to go along with this, or they wanted to switch on to teaching profession or something.
I'm Kusala Fernando.
Yes.
Good day to you all, and thank you so much for the questions. And it's a wonderful event that you have organized. So the first question, actually, the teacher librarians, they are willing to work in a library. Rather, they are willing to work in a library as a librarian rather than a teacher librarian, because in the situation in the country. Situation in the country, almost the teachers are working there. They are doing the job. They do according to their feelings. They have some experience of using a library somewhere. Then they try to mimic the same thing there instead of learning some library science and apply these techniques. So what their willingness is to be librarians, teacher librarians by themselves, and get trained, and do the act as librarians in the school environment. So the second question is, I think, about what, could you please remind that?
Yeah, actually, yes.
How many capacity building programs you have conducted?
Yeah. So in the University of Runa, it is a regular practice that we are conducting capacity building programs time to time. Usually, at least we are conducting one capacity building program per year, and this was practiced since 2018, as I remember, or more before than that. The point is, none of these capacity building programs were conducted in a cyclic manner. That they were not properly monitored after the capacity building program is conducted. So that part we missed all the time. And the other worst scenario is that the teacher librarians from the same division, same school, cannot be met twice, because whoever the person who is available with more time, they appoint that person as a librarian. So once we are calling upon the capacity building program, the same person is not being met. So however, there are a number of capacity building programs we are conducting.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kusala. Thank you for your answer. And as I go through the chat, some participants have asked a while ago that they were unable to unmute to ask any questions. So therefore, I would like to once again give an opportunity to ask any questions related to paper number 1, study on availability and usage of reference sources in a public library. And are there any questions to Ms. Kumari or Ms. Kausamalika? So since we have a very limited time before we start the plenary session, if there are any questions related to paper 1, presentation 1, let our audience ask. So otherwise, let us move to the third presentation, undergraduate satisfaction on user service quality of library services of Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. Contributors were Mr. B.E.S. Bandara and his research team. Are there any questions to Mr. Bandara? So may I ask a question, in addition to this quantitative study, have you attempted to collect any qualitative data generated from like semi or open interviews to complement your lead call type data?
Thank you very much for the question, sir. Actually, we have collected some qualitative data, but in order to cross-check these quantitative data, so both qualitative and quantitative data were almost similar. So that's how we have analyzed and conclude these findings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bandar. Are there any questions regarding the paper number 3? Otherwise, we may move to paper number 4, adding altmetric donut, proposal to increase author visibility on university repositories in Sri Lanka. Presenters were Mr. Ravi Kumar and Mr. Ramanan.
Yes, this is Pradeepan.
Yes. Mr.
It's not a question, something to say for getting some attention among Sri Lankan university libraries. Since their presentation is very important and the proposal is also very important, that is regarding the adoption and adding of alternative metrics to institutional repositories of Sri Lankan universities. So this is a new message to all the universities of Sri Lanka to enhance the visibility of institutional repository by adding these techniques. So I think that it is a good lesson from this paper. We appreciate the great effort taken by Mr. Ramanan and Mr. Ravi Kumar for their very good message and interesting paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pradeepan. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Pradeepan.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeepan.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise, sure. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a question. Actually, I also would like to congratulate the authors, Mr. Ramanan and Mr. Ravi Kumar, about this altmetrics one, which I think it's a new subject for Sri Lankan conference participants. So I'm happy that a new perspective, which I highlighted in the morning, was discussed. And let's hope that it will be practiced by the universities, as Dr. Pradeepan said. All the best to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much, Madam Pradeepa Vijayasinghe, Director of the National Institute of Library and Information Sciences, University of Colombo. And now we have Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Ali from Pakistan, and his paper was on Pakistani LIS faculty research performance on ResearchGate. So any questions? Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Ali is ready to answer. I have one question, Mr. Ali.
Most welcome.
Yeah, this is regarding the ResearchGate score, which has been criticized, and even in your paper, you have mentioned in page number 70, and I saw your paper that this ResearchGate score has a secret algorithm. That means that the others cannot, calculate it. So, yeah. So my question is actually, as this ResearchGate score has recognized by Pakistani higher educational institutes as a measure of academic performance of an academic or a researcher or an institute?
No. Currently, there is a Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, which is the accredited body to look after the matter of the Higher Education Commission and the faculty member. They did not recognize for the ResearchGate score as a officially for their promotion and recruitment and whatsoever. But ResearchGate score is being a measurement that for a faculty member or a scholar or researcher, how he is capable and how he popular he perform in a research community. So you can measure yourself, because it's a few papers which is presented and talk about the altimetric from the Sri Lankan perspective. Similarly, ResearchGate is a measurement to perform, to analyze how you measure the performance of a researcher or faculty member on any specific scholarly networking site, and what his or her performance. You may measure that if he has a high ResearchGate score, that means he has a good collaborative author and he has a good performance. I hope, Saranga, I respond your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Ali. And are there any other questions?
I welcome any other counterpart of the Sri Lankan Library Association. They can ask me any question. I welcome their question, and I have at the end I will congratulations to the Sri Lankan Library Association. They were organizing such a wonderful conference. And I hope the rest of the regional country will also participate and join this conference and your conference in future.
Yes, thank you very much. And then our sixth paper presentation was by Dr. Ms. Amara Malik, Assistant Professor from University of the Punjab in Lahore, Pakistan. Her research presentation topic was Research Collaboration in LIS, Various Challenges and Prospects. Any questions to Dr. Ms. Amara Malik? Dr. Mrs. Malik, I have a question for you. So you were talking about the research collaboration among the LIS faculty in Pakistan. And so according to, are there any studies regarding any collaboration between LIS faculty with faculty members from other disciplines beyond LIS, like with computer science and management? Because in your paper, you found that there is less collaboration among the LIS faculty, but are there any studies or findings related to the collaboration between LIS faculty with other faculty members from other disciplines like computer science or management? So I wonder whether our paper presenter is with us to answer that question for paper number 6. So otherwise, until she joins with us, let us move to the next presentation, the final presentation, the presentation number 7, which was made by Ms. Vitan and her research team on serving the library user community through social media, with special reference to Sri Lankan academic libraries. So the audience may ask any questions from Ms. Vitan and her research team.
Yes, this is Pradeepan. Yes, that Ms. Palika, that in your slide you have mentioned that 88% of university libraries, 88% of universities have the Facebook. So that let me know that it is out of 17 universities or out of 15 universities.
Yeah, Ms. Vitana,
it is out of 17 universities.
Right.
The last one also we checked in. So it is out of 17 universities, just like
including University of Vaunia.
Yeah. At the end, we calculated that also for this purpose.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I hope that Dr. Pradeepan's question was answered. Are there any questions to Ms. Vitan and her research team? Or otherwise,
this is Manjula from Bakatalaw Defense University. Actually, yes. I want to ask one question from Mrs. Vitana. Mrs. Vitana, what are the most trending service that you have identified by providing the library services through Facebook? What is the trending service among the libraries that you have identified?
We observed that most of the, upon the statistics, the observational statistics, people are interested in like courses, webinars, and seminars, conferences. So those are the things they like to log in and check and share. And interlibraries also, they are sharing content when one library shares such a content, they share with each other.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Manjula, for your question. And before we wind up the session, are there any questions for the research paper number 1, availability and usage of reference sources? Actually, I asked one question, and Ms. Aushumalika, the co-author, has replied on the chat saying that that study was conducted after the first lockdown period, so the library usage was decreased in that period. I was asking that when this study was conducted. Thank you very much for answering through the chat service. Are there any other questions for any of our 7 presentations? So otherwise, let us conclude the technical session 2, the parallel session, which was conducted on the topic of research feasibility and other LIS areas. And yes, then let us conclude, and let me thank all the presenters for their valuable contribution to make this technical session and the ICULA 2021 a productive one, and also for all the participants in this session who actively participated by asking questions. And also I must thank Dr. Mrs. Kalpana Chandrasekhar, my co-session chair, for her contribution. It was a great pleasure, madam, to share this session with you. And I must thank the conference organizers for giving us the opportunity to serve as the session chairs of this conference. And I hope that you all really had a very fruitful session. And then let us invite you all to join with the plenary session, which will be started immediately. And we would like to invite you to join with the plenary session by using the link given to you for technical session 1. Now you are in technical session 2. So we invite you to join with the plenary session by using the link for technical session 1. And then thank you very much once again, and stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, all the participants. And
yeah. Thank you very much,
Dr. Tarangan. So
Yeah,
we'll carry on, Manoj.
Yeah, thank you very much, session chairs, Dr. Kalpana Chandrasekhar and Dr. WMTD Ranasinghe, for sparing your time for today's session. And I would like to thank all the paper presenters and the participants who were live with us and make the event a great success. Thank you all for being with us today. And before concluding the technical session 2, I would like to invite all of you to join with us again with the technical session 1, which will be continued as the plenary session of ICULA 2021. So hope to see you there. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to the plenary session of 11th International Conference of University Librarians Association of Sri Lanka. This plenary session is based on the theme of scholarly publishing and open access for the enhancement of research visibility, and will be moderated by Mr. M. Norman Ravi Kumar, Senior Assistant Librarian, Eastern University, Sri Lanka. To enlighten us on this topic, we have a very eminent panel of speakers present here with us. May I welcome Dr. Mrs. N.D. Vijayasundara, Librarian, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Dr. C.C. Jayasundara, Librarian, University of Kelaniya, and Dr. Mrs. Namali Suravira, Acting Librarian, ICCMS Senior Lecturer, Head, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Kelaniya. Now, may I invite Mr. Ravi Kumar to proceed the plenary session. Over to you.
Dear professionals, scholars, participants, and my dear friends, once again, I welcome you all to the plenary session of ICULA 2021. As you are aware, the information centers and libraries are closed for physical access to users due to the COVID pandemic all over the world. However, the information professionals and librarians are taking the major role in disseminating required information for the research and publication using various modes of communication, especially through the online platform now. So in this scenario, the organizers of ICULA have chosen a timely topic that is scholarly publishing and open access for the enhancement of research visibility for today's discussion. As librarian, we need to do research and publication to upgrade our academic qualities, which is very much important for the development of librarianship in the country. At the same time, we must support other academics to do their research by educating them on scholarly publication, open access, and how to make their research visible to others. It's maybe nationally as well as globally, because it will enhance the research productivity of an institution. And ultimately, this will take up the institution to the next level. Yes, today we will discuss more about this topic. So we have three eminent scholars for this discussion. Let me introduce them. Our first speaker, Dr. Nayana Vijayasundara, librarian, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, and also immediate past president of Sri Lanka Library Association. The second speaker, Dr. Chaminda Jayasundara, librarian, University of Kelaniya. And the third speaker, Dr. Namali Suravira, senior lecturer, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Kelaniya. First of all, I would like to invite Dr. Nayana Vijayasundara to share her thoughts with us. Madam, it's over to you now.
Thank you, Ravi. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, you're audible.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. So after hearing a lot of fruitful sessions in the morning, we have come to the plenary session. It is like repeating the same that we heard in the morning, but we will sum up what we have to say. Okay, we do research and we want to disseminate our findings. One way of doing that is publishing. You can publish in many places like books, journals, and in conference proceedings, reports, theses and dissertations. You can disseminate your research findings. But the most popular way of publishing is in journals, that is very popular among us. So when you're submitting your first manuscript or manipulating the whole lot, you need to make confident decisions in today's scholarly publishing landscape. You need to understand a journal's role within and influence upon the global research community. In other words, you would be able to identify good quality or legitimate journals and so-called predatory journals. Predatory journals are also called pseudo-journals, fake journals, deceptive journals, and opportunistic journals. Simply, modus operandi of a journal is important before publishing. When researchers want to publish their work, sometimes they seek the advice from librarians, their supervisors, mentors, seniors, and peers. They want to find out how to find out good quality journals, because they want to publish their work with reliable publishers and to make maximum visibility to their work. So we librarians want to make them aware of reputed publishers and to sensitize researchers on predatory journals. There are certain criteria to judge good quality journals and predatory journals. In doing this, you need transparent, publisher-neutral data and statistics. This can be done by exploring a rich array of metrics. These metrics include the very recent one. Today morning, one of the keynote speakers, as well as a presentation, research presentation was done on alt metrics, the very recent one. And previously, we used journal impact factor, site score, field weighted citation impact, top readership, review time, and many more depending on each publisher. These metrics can be found in reputed abstracting and indexing services, SciMago journal rank, and in journal citation reports. There are journal citation reports for each journal. Using these journal citation report profile pages, you can check your journal's impact factor. Impact factor depends on the number of citations to a particular journal. Each of these cited references in a scholarly publication is an acknowledgement of influence, how your research was influenced within the community or within the society. Through these journal citation reports, you can gain a clear understanding of the context surrounding your journal's impact factor with time trend and citation distribution visualizations. Further, you can quickly determine which institutions and regions contribute to your journal's impact factor based on the affiliations of your contributing authors. Also, you can identify which articles and reviews have contributed the most citations to your journal's impact factor. You can easily identify the open access articles in your hybrid journals. We think that high impact factor journals are good. Yes, but not always because of these predatory publishers. They sometimes claim false impact factors. They make self-citations of their journals to increase the impact factor. On the other hand, we cannot say that a journal is in inferior quality just because of having a low impact factor. We all know that a particular the impact factor for a particular year is calculated using the citation number of citations of the previous 2 years. So a particular journal has to be in existence for a particular period. And there are certain subject areas, they have very small audience. So the number of citations will be very less. In turn, it will affect the impact factor. So always don't judge by the impact factor only. So on the other hand, predatory publishers, most of them, they don't have online submission facility. Instead, they ask you to email your article. And most of the journal titles are very similar to that of reputed journal titles. And sometimes they use non-existing geographical regions like Americas in the title, right? And they don't give most of the, if you go to a site of a particular predatory journal website, you don't find author guidelines, and they don't review the peer review process. And sometimes they don't have an editorial board. Instead, they have only one editor. And if they have many, they are also from one institution. So likewise, they promise fast publishing dates. Within 2-3 days, your manuscript is accepted and published also. So how can a review process go, complete within 2 or 3 days? That is impossible, right? That's how they make money. Their main aim is to make money. Predatory publishers, they make money by charging you as getting your article processing charges. And this charge is also vary. If you communicate with them, they reduce the charge. They give a discount, like sometimes they feel, they inform us, just give what you have in your pocket, like, right? So many more things that to judge whether this is by looking at the website to see whether a predatory journal or a good quality journal. The extent to which predatory journals can harm scientific practice increases as the number of such journals expand. They undermine science integrity, quality, and credibility, especially when those journals leak into prestigious databases. predatory publishers, sow confusion, promote shoddy scholarship, and waste resources. Publishing in predatory journals not only devalues the prestige of the author, but it can contribute to the propagation of errors with all the consequences that may entail, not only at the scientific level, but as the social level as well. Think of a medical journal article published in a predatory journal. It goes not only to the subject experts, but to patients as well. That's why the danger comes into the society. It is very difficult to depend on lists prepared on predatory journals. One thing, they need to update regularly as the number of journals are mushrooming. On the other hand, we know that certain reputed publishers also include predatory journals in their list without judging carefully, and vice versa can also happen. There are support services like journal finders, quality journals. But my suggestion is that try to learn to give the final judgment of publication legitimacy for your work by you. So I reiterate what Dr. Vijay Tunga mentioned in her keynote speech. Don't become a prey to a predator. Over to you, Ravi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for sharing your views with us. It was very interesting and informative, and also you have covered a lot of things regarding the publishing articles in the journal. I'm also totally agree with that. I hope everyone will agree with you. Judging the journals by using impact factors and identifying the journals where we can publish. So those are very useful especially for the young academics. Okay, so now I kindly invite Dr. Chaminda Jayasundara to share his experience and ideas with us. Sir, it's over to you. Sir, could you please unmute? Sir, please unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Ravi, for inviting me to speak a few words regarding the publication and publication process and unethical practices over here. Dr. Vijay Sundara has spoken about how to find predatory publications, and why do we need to select good publications and that kind of things, very much. But in addition to that, I must say, publishing in predatory journal makes people degraded. Actually, the quality of the people will certainly be degraded because of their publications in predatory journals, because none of the publication is accepted in the academia if you have published in predatory journals. So in addition to publishing articles in predatory journals, it in turn introduce zombification of the science. It means that what we have found is not acceptable. Anything what we have what we have written will be accepted by these predatory publications. Then it will adversely affect the quality of the body of knowledge what we have around this world. So the people, those who are publishing, the academia is the people, those who are publishing in predatory journals are called zombie professors or zombie scientists, because they contribute to the world body of knowledge with wrong findings. That is not science. That is that is wrong decisions. The wrong findings. So it makes the science worst. So that is one of the other reasons. But when we are publishing, including, the librarians and the professors and all, we must, be very careful about these things, because, in very early days, people didn't know what the predatory publications are. Many of the professors and the librarians may have, climbed up the ladder by showing these kind of, publications to the university, and they have been evaluated positively, and the people got, positions too. But in Western world, these people are called zombie professors, but in Sri Lanka, still, we are not that much of, particular about the quality of the publications. Whatever we have, the given for evaluation are being evaluated and given marks. But I would like to, let this audience know, now the UGC is very much concerning about, predatory publication and the quality of publication, what we are publishing, because the publication avenues are very important for determining the quality of the professors, quality of the librarians. So now, they are going to issue a circular to check all these things very particularly. And according to the new circular for the university lecturers as well as for the librarians, and they are going to ask index journals, at least the 20 people will contribute something important to this body of knowledge. That is one of the important thing. Other thing is some of the researchers, they do a lot of unethical practices. We do have the two kind of unethical practices. One is questionable research practices. Other one is fabrication, fraud, data fraud. Some people gather information, and then they want to submit whatever they want to tell. That is not whatever they are generating from the data. Okay, that is some sort of fabrication. It's cheat in the scientific community. That is really unacceptable in the academic world, all around the world. And the second thing is, so suppose that I do have some sort of speculation that but according to the data, it doesn't support my speculation. But I want to show the audience that my speculation is correct. So then they modify the data and publish. Some researchers, they don't do actually research. They enter the data into the system and that generate research. That is that kind of fake research publications. And then some of the other researchers, they do plagiarism. And they are cheating, the others' papers, that kind of things. Sometimes, if you are sending an article to a predatory journal, all of a sudden, one of the, unknown person will publish your article. That kind of things are happening. That is what actually, we are very much concerning about the quality of the research. And majority of the people, those who are doing this kind of academic fraud or the research fraud or questionable research practices, are sending their research papers to predatory publication because there is no peer review process. Whatever you have submitted, being asked a kind of article processing fee to be published in that particular journal. This that's why I'm telling this adversely affect the quality of scientific body, scientific knowledge. But especially the humanities and social sciences, we are not very much particular about this. But if this kind of things are happening in the, just say this kind of things are happening in the biology or biology, agriculture, or the medicine, then what will happen? It will adversely affect the humankind. It will adversely affect the the lives of the world. So that is why the people those who are publishing that kind of things are being called zombie professors. It's making zombification of the science. That is really unacceptable. And the other thing what I want to tell you over here, that sometimes the people are doing very misleading calculations. Majority of the journals, predatory journals, they are telling that they do have the high impact factor, IF. That is really fake. Impact factor comes only for the journals published in Clarivate and Analytics, ISI journals. But, none of the other journals do have impact factors. That is wrong. Okay. Then, the other good journals, if you don't have, the enough time, the capability, or if the research is not really worthful for publishing in high impact factor journal, then there's another avenue, that is, the publications available in Scopus. Then people, can easily publish in Scopus. But I'm not as a librarian, I'm not recommending anybody to publish in another areas, because the journals which have not been come under Scopus, either Scopus or ISI journals. Okay, at least the journal should be listed in Scopus. That is, very, very important. Otherwise, one fine day you will, be caught as a contributor to the zombies. That is, one of the idea that I want, to tell you as a librarian. And then the people, why do people are doing, this kind of unethical practices? That is very important. The first thing is, according to our circulars and all, there is no provision for getting experience and, climb up the ladder. The people, as soon as they are, they become lecturers, they want, to collect marks and, climb up the ladder at a very early age. Maybe, some of the professors we've seen, they are in very late, late 20s. That is, the one of the motivation for doing that kind of, the unacceptable things. The other thing is the publication pressure. Publication is important for all of us. Otherwise, if we don't have publications, we can't climb up the ladder. That is also wrong. But in most of the universities around the world, people, the lecturers or the librarians are not asked to publish as well as do teaching. Okay, the people, those who are good with teaching, they are doing, the teaching. Their publication requirement is very less. But the people, those who are good with research, they are doing, the more research, but less teaching. But we don't have that kind of, fairly distributed mechanism for us. That is, one of the other reasons. The other thing is actually the people don't have capability, and the people are very lazy. And most of the people, they don't have capability to do the research. Then whatever do they, they gather someone else's, research paper and modify the data and publish as their own. These kind of unacceptable things are happening. We should, particularly focus on those kind of things as librarians. We must have the capability to introducing the researchers, to bring in the researchers into the proper way, for giving them information, for helping them to, write their articles in, the good way, or for showing them, the good publication avenues. As you all, know, some time ago, majority of us, have published their research theses or the dissertations in Lambert publication. Lambert publication is a predatory publisher, and it's not accepted in any university in the world. But at least we didn't have that kind of awareness during that time. So now we know. So that is our duty to bring this the awareness, to bring this the knowledge, to disseminate this knowledge to the researchers as well as the academics, to to streamline the activities in the proper way. That is what we are doing. We are helping, and we are encouraging our academic staff as well as the librarians in the University of Kelaniya. So we think that within next 3-5 years, we will be able to make a big the significant difference, make a significant paradigm shift, okay, in the particular area, and particularly publishing research articles in, or publishing the research in scholarly journals. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you very much, sir. Your talk was mainly appropriate at this time when we are considering new initiatives for expanding growth. And not only that, you are enlightening us with the UGC concern on publication And also you clearly explain about the unethical practices in research and the publication pressure that we have. So I think it's very useful for the audience. Now we will move to the next speaker. Now I would like to invite Dr. Namali Suravira, Acting Director, ICCMS, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Kelaniya, to share her opinion and views with us. Dr. Namali, it's over to you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Ravikumar, and thank you so much for the invitation as well to participate in this event as a plenary speaker. And I would also like to thank Dr. Nayana and Dr. Chaminda, our early speakers, because they have discussed the scholarly publishing and the open access and everything together. So it will give me a good path for me to start from the maybe talk about kind of research visibility, because they have already talked about the scholarly publication and open access. So I would like to focus on the other key word in your conference, because there's a theme. So that theme include three keywords, and we have touched scholarly publishing, open access, and then the third one will be the research visibility. So I will focus on that. And I would like to also remind, because from early in the morning today, I mean from the opening ceremony, we have heard lots of speech, keynote speech and everything. So they all have talked about the scholarly publishing and then all these three keywords. And then we have come across and then we have understood very informative things related to those areas. And based on that, I would like to summarize all these things according to my experience as well, because research visibility is again important with the quality of writing of the research project. Because whether we are writing for the scholarly publishing or whether we are submitting our articles to the open access journals and so on, if they are not predatory, so then we need to think about the research visibility. As an individual researcher, we should more think about our research visibility too. And here I would like to focus again, not from the senior researchers. I would like to actually focus on the early career researchers as well, because they are the one who just started their early career related to the research research. And there will be junior researchers and there will be senior researchers. Anyway, everybody needs to think about their own research visibility, because that will maximize the impact of their research output to the society, national development, and so on, right? Okay, so with that brief introduction, I would like to start my talk on research visibility. First, I would like to talk about why we require the research visibility. During our keynote speech, Dr. Pradeepa Wijetunge has clearly explained all this stuff as well, but I would also like to remind some key points. The first one is, as a researcher, we need to make our research activity known. I mean, not only by myself. If I'm doing a research related to the information literacy or the e-learning or whatever, so my research community should understand that these particular scholar, particular researcher are well known for these areas. So that means we have already opened up our research visibility to the community. Right? So that's really important, because other scholars should identify the other research areas done by scholars in various aspects, maybe different librarians, different assistant librarians in Sri Lanka or internationally. So by looking at their name, then we should be able to understand which area those scholars are representing. So that because their research visibilities are okay. So even from the starting point, as an early career researcher, we can also do the same up to the seniority, right? And then the second one would be to increase the chance of publications getting cited. So as our two speakers already informed, when we complete our research project, right, not only just for the conference, because Dr. Chaminda clearly said that there will be lots of research papers coming kind of ad hoc way, right? So they won't be following kind of good process of completing their research project, but it's not that what we expect. So we are expecting the quality research output. So if you are doing some sort of research for the academic purpose or your own interest, so then your research project should be read by other scholars as well. So without having a visibility, in these days, it's really important to talk about online research visibility, because you know that due to this pandemic situation and everything, we are not physically accessing libraries and information centers and so on. So it's really good to improve our online research visibility. And if we have some sort of experiences, or maybe if we have added our research output to the online environment, saying that I have completed this research project, this is my abstract, right? And if somebody needed, they can request maybe our full paper from us. If not, we can, if we agree, so then we can make visible our online full paper as well, right? Likewise, so we need to encourage other research community, our other scholars, to read our research output. Thereby, then we can actually inform what will be the future research areas coming through this research project and so on. So likewise, more and more, we need to give more research visibility online for the other community too. So then they will read about our research output, our conclusion, recommendation, and so on. They will start from next. Right? That's again our responsibility too as a researcher. And the third one will be, when we trying our best to make research visibility via online, it will again improve to correct our attribution, names, and affiliations too. You know that there will be the authors or researchers, they having the same surname, right? So for example, so I am normally Suravir. So my surname is Suravir. So in my same university, we have two Suraviras, right? Her one also N, my one also N. Then when we publish research article, so both research articles represent N Suravir. So then what will happen? So probably those two articles goes to my Google Scholar, or maybe those two articles goes to her one. But so that problem again can be minimized if we have some sort of research ID with us. For example, you know that ORCID ID. So I will talk about those things later on. So if we have such environment, then again, we will be recognized. We have the unique identification. So that will also inform that, because until we are not visible online, we may not be able to identify those issues, right? Those issues will be arrived when we are visible online. And the fourth one will be to increase the chances of new contacts for the research collaboration or research cooperation, right? So nowadays, I think Dr. Nayan and Chaminda will also agree with me. Nowadays, the research projects, if we are doing a research project with the collaborative perspective, right? For example, as a lecturer, as a librarian, or maybe not from the same university, maybe from different universities, if there is a collaborative research project, there is a good opportunity of publishing those articles in a quality peer-reviewed journal articles as well, because they know that there's a contribution is a lot more rather than doing the individual research project, right? So again, our research visibility should be perfect in order to understand our research interest and our research capabilities. That will again enhance our production, our popularity, and also the research output to get published in a very quality peer-reviewed journal articles. And the last one will be to increase the chances of funding to serve the society better. And I can remember that Dr. Vijay Sundara already informed that during her keynote speech, yes, we have to have the social responsibility. So as a scholar, as a librarian, we have to do a lot more, not only for our own career, but also for the society, for the development of the country, nation. So then there will be lots of research agencies, they are looking to give lots of grants to complete some of the research projects. So if we have that capacity, capability, and our online research visibility will impact again to get such grants to conduct quality research to the development of the society, to development of the nation, right? So this will be again major areas that we should need to think more why we should more publish our research articles via conferences or through the journals and so on. Why such online research visibility is important. Now again, I will quickly let you know what are the areas that you can focus on while you are focusing on the research visibility on online, right? So the first one will be, as I informed you earlier, so we can actually have an author disambiguation services. That means we should have our own unique researcher ID for us. So as an early career researcher, you can start your journey from now. So you can have your own research ID, right? Even junior or even senior, if you have not received your unique research ID, you can apply for that one. So there are some of the online tools available for this purpose. I would like to show that one. So the most famous one is ORCID ID. So if you are publishing our articles even in the index journal, so they actually asking our ORCID ID because they need to check, they need to cross check, and they need to have our own unique ID before we publish our article. And the second one will be, we can actually join with the research communities, right? So it's really important. So participating such conferences like this, it's also the research community, right? So we will be able to meet all the scholars from different aspects, different areas in the country, different libraries in the country, right? So this time we are meeting online, but when we have the access to the physical access, I mean, after this COVID-19 situation, probably we have the physical access and then we can talk to each other as well, right? So that research community is really important again to show our capabilities, capacities, and research outputs. So what are the tools available for this purpose? Actually, you can try maybe academia.edu. It's really famous. And maybe ResearchGate, you can have your own profile in your ResearchGate, and then you can publish your research articles over there. You can force other community, other similar sort of researchers to read your articles, right? And also there is a research community in Scopus, right? So you can also have an account over there, and then you can bring your quality output to that account, and then the other scholars will also search some of the key terms. Then your research will be also getting up to date, and then others will also read, not only from Sri Lanka, from everywhere, all over the country. And the third one, you can create and update your author profiles. I hope definitely you may have your author profiles right now, but if not, you can start on that. And for that purpose, you can use your Google Scholar account, right? You can have your Google Scholar account as an author profile, and you can update your research outputs over there. And there will be impact story, day ad. So there are different tools available. You don't need to try everything, but at least one. Try at least one. And there will be Kudos and also Figshare. So those two actually perform like repositories. So even though we have the institutional repositories, I know that all the university libraries having their own e-repository as well. So if you want to contribute to that, that's also fine. And also if you want to contribute to the such kind of online available repositories, it's feel free to go for, right? Kudos and the Figshare is the kind of famous tool that we could use. And the other area I would like to focus is use kind of reference management. We know that there are a number of, but mentally has a different kind of aspects because it's come up with the social function as well. So we can follow up other researchers and so on. So if you are using that one, use for the research visibility too. And the other area is developing your personal site. Personal websites maybe, right? And maybe link with your social media. So what are the examples? I know that when you use the social media, you will be better than me, right? So then you can use such practices to make or maybe publish yourself as a quality researcher. Okay, so these are some of the examples again. So LinkedIn, you can have a LinkedIn profile, and there you can share your professional experiences, research experiences, what are the projects that you have carried out, and so on. And also you can have your own blogs, right? So you can upload the writing to there, and then you can have a quality question and answering sessions going on, carry out along with the blogs, right? There will be freely available blogs too. For example, research blogging, WordPress, so you can use any. And also, in order to develop your own site, so you can try even Google site. It's really simple, right? So you don't need to have a expertise ideas on developing your own website, but you can develop your website to publish your research or maybe improve your research visibility through that. Okay, and maybe Facebook. So without passing some of the gossip, so we can use that Facebook as a main tool to promote our research output, right? So we can upload some of the documents, maybe we can give some of the links to read by somebody else, right? And the last thing that I want to highlight is then you will be able to measure your impact as well, measuring impact of your research article. So if you have the very good online research visibility, that means lots of researchers, those who love to read your research area, then they will access your paper and read, and then maybe they cite, right? So then it will enhance your impact, your measuring impact, maybe your impact, your research outputs impact to the society, right? So for that purpose, actually, there is a Publons, you know that the Clarivate Web of Science has Publons. So they have that option to develop, and you can create your own Publon profile over there, and also your publications, citations, citation metrics, peer review, and also journal editing work. They all are in a one place. It's a really good area for us to practice, and it's visible for the other researchers all around the world, and it's really famous tool for measuring impact too, right? And even if you have the Google Scholar account or the ResearchGate account, still you can see the number of citations, H-index, and so on. So that's the good thing to start, and then make yourself more online presence, and thereby your research visibility will be improved a lot. So there are lots of maybe research interest, researchers can contact you and for further collaboration, right? So likewise, there will be lots of opportunity for you to practice if you have some sort of idea to getting yourself on online presence regarding your research projects and so on. I hope these information will be useful, and hope even early career researchers, juniors and seniors, we all can practice this practice in the same way in order to improve our online research visibility, because it's really important while we are publishing articles in the very reputed scholarly journals and open access journals, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Namali, for the excellent explanation on research visibility and its insights. And also you point out the issues came across using the author names and using unique author names. I think I can give a very good example because I came across this experience. There's a professional from India, his name is S. Ravikumar, and I am Ravikumar. Always his research will integrated in my Google Scholar. Similarly, my research will integrated in his Google Scholar. So finally, it is end up with a good, good way, because now he started to communicate with me and we are working together. But I think this is a very important thing, using a unique name and using research IDs. And also you talk about creating the blog. That is very important. Throughout that also we can make our research visible to others. Okay, so without further delay, I think most of the participants are also delighted to talk with us. So I'm going to open the session for the participants. So participants can make their comments and they also can share their views. Please note, before sharing your ideas, please introduce yourself by giving your name. So now it's open to the participants. Dear participants, you can make your comments.
Yeah, let me open my comment covering all three veteran librarians in this field. It's when it comes to talking about academic integrity, it's always tightrope walking without offending anybody in the field. It's very hard to leave any comment. In this regard, I would like to say academia has also become a business. In a business, it's the competition is inevitable, and in the competition, always, people find a way to climb up the ladder, no matter what. So they might compromise, academic morality to achieve these things. So they would compromise integrity for getting money, monetary achievements, or fame, or maybe a position. So these things are playing, maybe it's a harsh and a bitter truth in this regard. So these are the competition for resources, like Dr. Jayasundar pointed out, in order to achieve positions or promotions, anything, we are blindfolded to pursue anything, which is not, moral in academic sense. So those kind of things, I'm not pointing anybody, but these promotional schemes should be revised in future courses so that these practices should be curtailed. As he mentioned, in STEM field, I would say this kind of immoral practices would be a little bit narrower than in human arts and humanities, where you cannot measure, especially when the resources are in mostly published in local languages. We don't have any cross-checking measures, especially for instance anti-plagiarism tools like Turnitin. It doesn't go and check any individual books which is published in a remote corner of a village, because anybody can publish print a book in a funeral notice printers, and it is acceptable, horribly it's acceptable as a piece of evidence to get the professorship or any promotions. So maybe there's another practice, you can publish a book, just one copy. There are evidence. Just with one copy, you just go to your promotion scheme panel and you just produce, okay, this is my book, and boom, done. So who is going to check all these things? Of course, it's tedious and it's impractical in some sense. You cannot go behind each and every publication and check, panelists don't have that kind of thing. So the mechanism cannot be coming from outside. This is what I want to insist on. It is also always a subjective matter. Everybody has to uplift or uphold the morality, the academic integrity in his or her endeavors. So this is what I would like to say. So I'm not sure how UGC might devise and come up with a tool to catch all these things, because it's very hard because unfortunately our research methodological tools are used only to measure which is seen. So these intrinsic characteristics cannot be measured by existing research methodological tools or any quantitative data analytics. So these are brought up only by the discourse analysis, which is mostly used in arts and humanities, social sciences. So I'm not sure how the thread would be woven through all these, the mechanisms, universities' autonomy, and some universities are not monitored by the apex body, which is UGC. So everybody is, a king in their own jungle. So I'm not sure. Predatory journals, shortly I call it a mushroom journals. It pops out and it disappeared. next season once the point is achieved. For example, I need to achieve get some points. So I just start up a journal on my desktop, and once my goal is achieved, kaboom! I just shut down my office overnight, and I will disappear, and you wouldn't know where I would have gone. So like these are things, and even editorial position should bear high moralistic values. Nobody should reveal the reviewers if it is a blind peer review. And I have seen some practices, editors connecting authors with the reviewers, and it's not a good practice of editorial committees. And these kind of things are, it's always intrinsic. And we should do that. Nobody else is coming to teach us. Otherwise, all these moral and ethical values will be present in religious texts and the documents of institutions, not yet hearts of academia. Thank you for the chance.
Thank you, Ramanan. So, any others?
This is good afternoon, good evening to all. I am Mr. Alagaratnam, Senior Lecturer in Eastern University, formerly Senior External Library in the KDU. So, thank you. Sorry that I am in wearing a t-shirt. Is it okay to? So, thank you very much. Three of them, that Dr. Nana Vijayasundara Madam and Dr. Vijayasundara Sir and Dr. Nama Liz Raviran Madam.
Mr. Alagaratnam, we can hear you. Is there any technical difficulties? I think there may be a technical difficulty. So any others can comment. We can give chance to after that to Dr. Mr. Alagaratnam. Any other participants want to share your ideas? Okay, if there is no anyone, we can conclude the session because already we have passed the exact time of closure. Is there anyone? Okay, then let me move to the conclusion session of this plenary session. Actually, we have discussed a lot of things from the morning to up to now. So I can highlight some of the points briefly. The scholarly publishing has still been challenged for young academics for sharing their works in high impact journals. It is difficult to access all the reputed databases due to the high subscription rate. And the closed access journals are charging some article processing fee, as Dr. Pradita also mentioned that in her keynote speak, and which could be unaffordable sometimes for the authors. And also some universities also not ready to support for giving the article processing fee for the authors due to the budget cuts. Therefore, the open access has become at an advantage for the academic institution. Not only that, it is a relief for the academic writers, but at the same time, we have to be very careful about publishing on a correct platform. And most of the things are highlighted today. What are the things we need to consider when publishing our research, and how we can make our research visible to others. Especially, we have talked about using some new tools such as some altmetrics. That is very important because that will count all the sharings all over the social media networks and all, so that will give a real output of how far the research is reached the society rather than the normal citation. So with that information, I think we can conclude the session. So I would like to thank all the speakers of the session for spending their valuable time with us and also enlighten us with their knowledge and experience. And also, I like to thank all the participants for your kind patience and for your valuable contribution in this session. And also, I like to thank Dr. Mashruba, Secretary of the conference, and her team for organizing ICULA 2021 and for their hard work behind the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.